2連装ビームキャノンパック装備。バルキリーの最強バージョンを完全再現。ストライクバルキリー。3段完全変形。今熱い期待に応えてストライクバルキリー堂々完成。
The SDF-1 remained in battle mode after the recent catastrophic attack by the Zentradi, partially out of heightened tensions and caution after granting asylum to the many Zentradi defectors, but also to allow Macross City to be rebuilt once again inside the mighty vessel. She was the sanctuary and home of all the citizens and servicemen who resided there. Having been exiled from the Earth, she now stood guard over. However, one of her crew, First Officer Lisa Hayes, was to embark on a special mission back to that planet that had ostracized her and the others aboard the SDF-1. Armed with the stunning knowledge and evidence that the Zentradi were essentially genetically identical to human beings, as well as the proof in the defectors that peace was indeed possible, Lisa hoped that her report and findings, as well as the pull she had with her high-ranking father on the Earth Defense Council, may help sway the rest of the Earth's military to extend a hand of friendship and peace to the Zentradi and end this conflict with them. Lisa was extremely trepidatious about this journey, not only because the chances of persuading this stubborn defense council seemed slim, but also she knew her father would use whatever pull he had to make it impossible for her to return to the SDF-1 and all the friends and loved ones aboard. Even as she voiced her anxieties, Claudia was helping her cheer up as she escorted Lisa to the shuttle waiting for her. Claudia candidly asks Lisa if she's told Rick about this trip, and Lisa mentioned she'd planned to call him from the shuttle. Claudia could tell that was not going to be a conversation that went well for either of them. On the bridge, Captain Global continues to ask for status updates on enemy activity about every 2 minutes or so. The new girl wonders what's bothering the captain, as Kim informs her of the trouble.
We're nearly ready to launch, Captain. Take off in 15 minutes, just as soon as they get the flight deck cleared.
Are there any signs of alien activity in our area?
There's been absolutely no movement from any of them.
What? There's been nothing at all? I hope this does not mean they're planning an attack. I don't like it.
Kim, does he always get this nervous?
Most times he's so calm you wouldn't believe it. Except now Sammy's in charge.
Yellow Squad, please go to pre-assigned coordinates before requesting computer readout.
Everything all right? No trouble, I hope.
Captain, please don't talk while I'm trying to concentrate on some of these transmissions that keep piling up.
Sorry, I did not mean to interrupt.
In the hangar, a newly promoted Max Sterling prepared to lead his own squad on this escort mission they'd been assigned. His squadmate and him couldn't help but notice the modified Veritech, sporting the latest strike armor fast pack as it was moved across the bay, being readied for weapons testing. Max and his buddy could only hope they'd get a chance to fly such a beast of a machine sometime soon. They wished each other luck as Max walked towards his new VF-1J, painted in his signature blue coloring, to get ready for takeoff. Lisa and Claudia were bidding each other goodbye on the boarding stairs, with Lisa mentioning she'd left notes to help Sammy and anyone else while she's gone, and Claudia optimistically told Lisa she'd see her in a few days. Although Lisa hoped that was true, the look and the salute they gave one another as Claudia moved away with the stairs gives away the fact that they both knew this may be the last time they ever see one another. As Lisa takes her seat, she makes herself comfortable and asks the crewman if she's able to use the radio in the seat to make a private call. He confirms that she can, and that the shuttle is ready to lift off at her convenience. Elsewhere aboard the ship, Rick Hunter is once again summoned to the phone to take a courtesy call, dressed in civilian clothes after having a rare day off.
Repeat, Lieutenant Hunter, you have a call.
Hello?
Rick, this is Lisa Hayes.
What can I do for you? I was just about to get some sleep, but it can wait.
What I have to say won't take long. I just want to let you know I'm leaving the SDF-1.
But where are you going?
I'm on my way to Earth to try and get them to stop all this fighting.
All by yourself?
I have to go alone. This thing's highly confidential. We don't want the civilians to know in case they can't return to Earth.
Wait a minute, why wasn't I told about this trip until now?
Because it's very possible that I won't be allowed to come back to the ship, so I must tell you something before I'm out of time. I appreciate all you've done, and I've enjoyed being with you.
Attention! Shuttlecraft now being lifted to Flight Deck A. Please clear all secondary access corridors in preparation for immediate liftoff.
Some of your observations aboard the enemy ship will be part of my report.
I don't care about your report if you can't come back here.
Please watch over the Zentradi defectors, Lieutenant. Many of our own people think they're saboteurs and might harm them. Well, we're leaving now. I have to sign off. Goodbye, and thanks again.
Concussion barriers in position.
Wait, where on the base are you calling from?
Flight deck is clear, and we have ignition. Shuttlecraft is now leaving from Flight Deck Bay 32.
That must be them. I just wish she'd have let me know she was going.
It all seemed rather unfair. He knew duty came before all else to Lisa, and he respected that about her. But why couldn't she have at least given him a chance to say, well, all that he had to say to her? Or, at the very least, a chance to properly say goodbye. On the bridge, the crew carefully monitored the shuttle's progress, but it didn't take long for them to detect enemy movement towards Lisa's shuttle, and the size of the enemy force looked significant. The flight group was already rather far away from the SDF-1, so there was little chance they could offer support. The captain and the rest could only hope that Sterling and his squadron would be enough to keep the shuttle safe. Inside the shuttle, emergency alarms blared as Lisa's seat was encapsulated by an armored shell, partially to protect her from any hull breach, but also to be used as an escape pod should the shuttle be destroyed all around her. Max Sterling ordered members of his squad to spread out and create a defensive perimeter around the shuttle, preparing themselves for the enormous force of battle pods, led by a vengeful Chiron. The pods begin their attack, and even as the veritechs move out to engage them, Max takes up position next to the shuttle to personally guard it and its passengers, switching to Battloid, quickly dispatching every challenger who came near. Some stray shots strafe the shuttle, damaging it, as Lisa feels the vibrations in her armored capsule, worried that this could be it for her. On the bridge, Kim and Vanessa inform Global that the battle pods look to be overwhelming the Veritech flight group, preventing any escape for the shuttle. The battle was closer to the Earth than the SDF-1, and Sammy informs the captain it would take far too long for reinforcements to reach them. The captain formulates a plan, knowing it was a long shot, but it was the only chance he had to beat back the enemy and save Lisa.
Send the car to get Lieutenant Hunter over to the field. Tell him Sterling's in trouble and he can't hold out much longer.
Yes, sir.
I just knew this trip was gonna be trouble. Driver, can't you get this thing to go any faster?
Just hold on to your seat.
Few pilots would be qualified to test the hyper-advanced systems of the new Veritech strike armor, but Rick Hunter was one such pilot. Therefore, the armor had been attached to Skull 1 in anticipation of Rick testing it the next day. But due to current circumstances, it seemed Rick would have to put this armor to the ultimate test sooner than they'd planned. After a quick snafu with Sammy getting Rick the proper coordinates, the concussion barriers slam into place, Skull 1's engines rev up, and Rick hits the throttle to blast his fighter off the Prometheus flight deck faster than any Veritech ever had. Max's flight squad was fighting fiercely, but were being overwhelmed as Max himself continued to defend the shuttle, hoping against hope they could hold out until help arrived. Rick's booster pack carried him to the battle quickly, and closing in on firing range, he unleashes a swarm of missiles from his enhanced weapons modules, the missiles finding their battle pod targets, blowing them out of the stars. Rick switches modes as he closes in, reversing thrust to slow down, the jolt nearly snapping his neck with its intensity. Evading enemy fire, he spins around in Guardian mode, launching more missiles in a careening precision, destroying so many targets that Chiron pulls the rest of his forces away from this new Micronian terror that had decimated his battalion. Max declares the success of the shuttle's defense, but his escort squad was in bad shape. With permission from the control tower, he pulls them away, heading back to the SDF-1, leaving Rick and the modified Skull-1 the shuttle's remaining defense.
Status report. The battle is over. Escort group returning to base. Lieutenant Hunter is now guarding the shuttle.
Well, that was pretty impressive flying you did up there, sir, but do you think he can protect them by himself?
There's so much firepower in his machine, it's like sending up 10 regular fighters.
Sammy was already exhausted doing Lisa's job, speaking for everybody as she wished that Commander Hayes was already back. Speaking of Lisa, her chair reverted back to its less claustrophobic formation. As the shuttle's porthole is uncovered, she spies Rick's veritech flying next to her, informed by the shuttle's captain that she's receiving a transmission from Skull-1.
Shuttle will now return to normal mode of operation. Commander Hayes, we have a communication for you from Lieutenant Hunter, who's now guarding us. I'll put it on the speakerphone.
Lisa, are you all right?
I made it, but only because you came to help.
No problem. Now what's all this about you not coming back? I don't understand.
I personally observed the enemy while I was trapped on that ship. So I expect they'll want to keep me there, Rick.
You mean even though your father is one of the leaders of our forces?
I don't think my father's position will be much protection after I've presented my report. They won't like what I'm going to say.
Lisa, the shuttle has just entered the Earth's atmosphere. I hope you'll be safe.
Thanks, I'm sure I'll be fine.
Rick reflected on his first impression of Lisa, back when he thought she was just some old sourpuss, and she thought he was some kind of lecherous degenerate. Most of their conversations back then were her yelling at him, or him acting defiantly. Since then, they'd found a kindred spirit within each other, traveled the galaxy together, even shared a kiss, under the strangest circumstances imaginable, but still. They had unified in an effort to uncover the mysteries of the Earth's greatest threat, to help mend each other's broken hearts, and come together as two military soldiers who sought to bring peace. Rick briefly stared at Lisa through the window, worried that this would be the last glimpse he ever caught of her.
There's something else I want to tell you before I go, but I don't want to use the radio because it's sort of private. Just look out the window. Here.
What is it?
Just something between you and me.
Huh? It's a message in code. I complain about things, but I believe in you. I've grown to like you very much and would miss you if you couldn't come back. Make the trip, but please hurry back home. So long, Rick.
In an effort to encapsulate all the feelings he had for her, all the respect and admiration he'd garnered, he gave her one final hearty salute before changing course and heading back to the battle fortress. Lisa found the gesture touching, holding the moment dear as she headed towards a very uncertain future on the Earth.